PFL is officially done for. They're fucking cooked, and I can't say anything else about it other than that. I cannot wait for this organization to absolutely fall apart. It continues to get worse and worse. Duke Roufus, Sergio Pettis, and Anthony Pettis, the brothers there, their coach has spoken out about it. Corey Anderson continues to speak about it online. And here's just a quick little list again, I'll reiterate. The fighters who have not fought, but maybe once this year, if at all: Patchy Mix, Corey Anderson, Kyoji Horiguchi, Sergio Pettis, Patricio Pitbull, Tafik Musayev, Gegard Mousasi, Vadim Nemkov, Chris Cyborg, obviously just fought a couple months ago, but she's already looking for a fight again. There's others out there. Leandro Higo. I mean, some of their most talented fighters are not getting the fights that they need to have. Patchy Mix, champion. Corey Anderson, champion. Kyoji Horiguchi, high-level guy who fought with Ryzen, went to the UFC, came to Bellator. Sergio Pettis, former champion. Patricio Pitbull, current champion. Tafik Musayev, one of their best fighters. Gegard Mousasi, former UFC, former Bellator. Vadim Nemkov, former champion. There's a through line that connects all these fighters, and it's not a personal beef with a gym, a personal beef with a manager, a personal beef from where they came from, a personal beef about asking for too much money. It is absolutely and unequivocally because these guys have big time contracts. They offer and garner a lot of money in their contracts. The PFL is not willing to pay out and dish out the money needed to have these guys fights. They fought and signed contracts with Bellator after becoming champions or coming from the UFC, getting big contracts, and the PFL will not allow them to fight because they do not have the money to pay them, and it is no clearer than that is now. Take a listen to what Duke Roufus, coach of Sergio Pettis and Anthony Pettis, had to say.
Teaching some seminars, some great people. That being said, I got to bring up the elephant in the room in the MMA world right now. What is going on with PFL and Bellator? As a former fighter, I have a different perspective than managers and or people who run it, because I understand, being a former fighter and these guys I train, that time is of the essence. You can always make more money, you can't make more time in life, and time is of the essence for these guys to create their goals, legacies, and obviously how they make a living. They don't get paid to train, they get paid to fight. Speaking of my man, Sergio Pettis has not fought for Bellator since November 17th of last year. He was given permission to fight for Rizin in June 3rd. That was not on his contract. And he was just offered a fight in Japan that we have heard through our Japanese contacts, but that was for Rizin. There's no date set in sight. This is very tough for these fighters. Communication would be great. Right now, the organizations are quiet, the managers are quiet, while the fighters are sitting back waiting for scraps. I don't think it's fair. Can someone spit out some answers here? The UFC already has all their dates planned through March. I'm a small-time MMA promoter. I've already got a April event in the books with a December, and I'm nobody. I'm just a small-time guy who puts on local shows to build young talent. We've got all of our tournaments scheduled for everything we're doing. How can a major organization coming into the new year not have any dates on the books and, no answers to these fighters? Please, somebody, if you know, let me know.
Thanks for Duke Roufus for putting that out there. I mean, all he said was absolute truth. All right, Corey Anderson responding after last night. I spoke about a couple of the tweets that Patricio, Leandro Higo, Patchy Mix, Chris Cyborg, Corey Anderson, and others were putting out there. Corey Anderson responded to this guy. Somebody's trolling Corey, saying, LMAO, this dude left the UFC and brags about how great Bellator was. Now he's begging for a fight as a champion. I didn't even know this man was a champ, honestly. Completely forgot about him. Corey Anderson with a great, honest response here, admitting that, yes, that's partially true. I still stand by what I said. When Scott Coker was in charge, the ball was constantly rolling. Again, Scott Coker is no longer in charge of Bellator. He used to own Bellator, used to be in charge of president, whatever. The ball was constantly rolling. Fights were booked and transparent with everything. Changed my life. Now, a year later, it's a complete flip-flop. I don't take back what I said then, but now I won't say it today. My goodness, man. I mean, this is just crazy. Here's Josh and Big John talking on the Weighing In podcast about all this. Let's take a listen.
How does a small-time promotion already have shows scheduled out until April? And he said he basically, what was the term he used for them? He said a big-time promotion, or he said whatever it was. I don't look at them as that anymore. I don't know what it is, but something, and I'm not going to say too much because there's, obviously I just don't think that they are.
What's he going to say? Because both of these guys, remember, Josh and Big John used to work for Bellator. Josh no longer really heavily involved with the PFL production team, but Big John is always on the PFL cards commentating and or popping in to give refereeing tips on like what the public needs to know about the refereeing or about the judging or about the fight itself, the rules and all that. He helped create the rules, and the PFL has him and brings him in to, give little tidbits here and there throughout the broadcast. So these guys both work in and around Bellator/PFL. They know better than anyone. Okay, that's my point. They're involved heavily in the process of the production of Bellator and PFL.
There's, obviously, I just don't think that they are a promotion to be taken serious right now. They just released Lorenz Larkin. They just released Yaroslav Amosov. I've already been told that certain fighters.
Yaroslav Amosov, former champion in Bellator, very dominant fighter in Bellator, probably very expensive after winning the title. Obviously, they're getting rid of him. Lorenz Larkin, heavily paid fighter, has had a successful career outside and inside of Bellator/PFL. Probably has a big contract. Again, there's the through line. These guys all, as you see on this list, they're all subject to having pretty large contracts as either former UFC or former champions.
Fighters that have won.
Question: Do you know that? I'm not saying anything about the release. Do you know that Lorenz and Yaroslav asked for that release?
No,
or was it just they just released it?
Just released. Yep.
And again, Josh is a former fighter. He's got connections within the industry. He's friends with a lot of these fighters. Lorenz Larkin, one of these guys who's kind of not old per se, but he's probably known Josh for quite a long time. Amosov obviously was dealing with all that stuff in Ukraine over there, and then he fought again, lost to Jason Jackson.
I do know that there's a fighter that just fought recently. He's got one more fight left on his contract. They have said that they will try to fight him before the.
Let's back this up. Listen very carefully here. Who do you think this is? Somebody
that just fought recently. He's got one more fight left on his contract. They have said that they will try to fight him before March, and he's basically looking to try to get out. But
he just fought recently, just lost, wants to fight again before March. Who just fought for the PFL/Bellator recently that has a loss, that didn't take a ton of damage, but is kind of in the prime of his career, has a reason to get out of Bellator/PFL? I wonder who that could be. AJ McKee just lost to Paul Hughes at the height of his career. He's in his prime. He's got one more fight left on his contract. This very well could be AJ McKee. I'm not 100% certain, but it definitely sounds like it. And Josh has a lot of connections in California where AJ McKee trains. So I'm just saying, read between the lines here for yourself. Figure it out.
He's coming up.
That's somebody who has a really big contract that they don't want to use to fight a bunch, okay? Maybe I'm wrong, but
off of a loss in a big high-profile fight. So he wants.
Coming off a loss in a big high-profile fight. Listen to that again.
He's basically looking to try to get out, but he's coming off of a loss in a big high-profile fight. So he wants to get one more fight in so he can try to get off on a win, which he probably will. He's one of the best fighters in Bellator.
One of the best fighters in Bellator, coming off a high-profile loss. Somewhat in close connection with Josh Thompson. It's AJ McKee. I almost have no doubt now.
Right now. So
this is fucking disastrous. Add AJ McKee to this list of Bellator fighters that want out, but these are the guys that have been inactive. Gegard Mousasi is currently trying to sue the PFL for like $15 million in damages. It's fucking insane, and they're falling apart at every seam. I mean, it's just embarrassing. This is no longer a big-time promotion. This is not a professional organization. They're all about getting money, getting TV contracts, and acquiring assets. They have nothing to do with putting on good fights, paying fighters the money that they've earned, supporting guys that have families and other training partners they need to pay. They need to pay their coaches. They don't care. The PFL does not care about this. Don Davis does not care about these fighters. Peter Murray does not seem to care about these fighters. Is that the guy in PFL? I don't fucking know. Can't figure this shit out. I'm tired of it. Don Davis, get your shit together and let's get this thing cooking, because you need to fix your shit right now if you have any hope of lasting more than 2 years in this business. That's all I got to say on this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.